Sid from Mattyctrains here, and welcome back to Workbench Wednesday. So unlike my normal Wednesday video where I show you an engine on my workbench and actually do some work on it, or show a tip, or just show an upgrade that I've completed, I'm deciding to do what I'm calling a Backshop update. I have a lot of engines that come in for service or upgrades, or in some cases some minor cosmetic enhancements, and I have so much right now that I thought, why don't I just show everyone everything I have? There's some stuff on the workbench, there's some stuff on my shelves, and then there's stuff in my train room itself. So I'm going to be showing you all those items, but I'm not going to be doing any work, just because right now I have a lot going on and I'm trying to get things done. So I just don't have a lot of time to film me working on the trains. I just want to get them done and then maybe show you when they're completed. I understand some of you like the how-to videos and the tips that I give, and I'll, of course, in the future keep trying to make videos where I can show you those tips and tricks and how things work, but I just have a lot going on right now, so I'm trying to get the work done for my customers. But let's go check out everything that I got in what I call Sid's Backshop. So starting out at the workbench, I have two engines currently on my workbench. The first one you can see in the back there, that is a Lionel 2793 New York Central Mohawk. And it's an L2A Mohawk that is in for, originally was in for service. It was making some clicking noise, and that turned out to be the gearbox not being packed with grease and just being kind of old. It had sat around for a while, so it just needed some basic maintenance. But the customer and I have decided to install a super chuffer in it, a Cruise Commander M, and a chuff generator. So he will have 4 chuffs, really good smoke, and really smooth control over the engine, which will be really, really nice. In the end, it's going to be a really nice engine. And this is an engine that I've wanted for a while, and it just gives me a chance to see what it's like, and it is a very nice engine. So I'm going to be enjoying doing that upgrade. And actually right here is the shell for it, if I can pick it up and hold it to the camera good. There's the shell for it. As you see, 2793. There's the front with the water heater. I really like these L2A Mohawks. I was considering getting one of the new legacy ones, but I feel if I really want one, just buy one of these old TMCC ones with Rail Sounds 4 in them, and just upgrade it, and that'll be a really nice engine. The other engine consists of this chassis right here, and that shell and all those parts over there. So to start out, here is the chassis of the engine. This is a bare brass locomotive chassis. I have removed all the axles, all the pickup rollers, everything. This is a bare brass locomotive chassis, and it's kind of cool because you can see how it works. The axles slide up into these grooves here that have the slots, and the bearings go up into there, and there's a little spring that pops in between them and the frame, so then they're sprung drivers, which is really cool. And you can see some of the rods and stuff that I've left on there. But this is from a Weaver Great Northern P2. It's a mountain type locomotive that I'm working on for a buddy of mine. It will be getting a legacy upgrade. That's coming in the future. Currently, I'm just trying to get the chassis to run nice and smooth. And let's go take a look at the shell and all the other parts over on the other side. So here's the shell and all the other parts. To start out, I'll show you the shell here. Let me hold it better for you. Here you go. This is a black P2. They had Great Northern green P2s, but this is just a black one. It looks pretty good. I give my customer a hard time because of how much work I've had to put into this. It's kind of a joke with him, but it's still a very nice looking engine. And if I move the shell all the way, you can see all of the chassis parts. There's the side rods, there's some springs, there's the bottom plate that goes underneath the frame. And then here's the axles, like with the wheels on them. Here's one. This one has a a little cam on it, if you can't see. There we go. If I get closer, you can see. My camera just doesn't like focusing. Sorry about that, but yeah, here's an axle. It has a cam on it. Here's the whole drive, the drive assembly. It's a little Pitman motor with a gearbox and a flywheel, and there's then here we go. If my camera would just focus, it would. Pardon me for having all these issues. My camera just does not like to focus. But here we go. Yeah, this is a better look. My camera's finally focusing, and I can show you. There's the Pitman motor. This was rebuilt by Timco. He's a well-known motor guy in the O-scale industry. Has a nice flywheel. I redid the gearbox completely. I'll show you some pictures right now, and it was just really, really bad. The grease was old and needed oil, and I just degreased everything, repacked it with new grease and oil, and it works really good now. And the final part is the the front of the engine. There we go. Looks pretty cool. It's kind of a funky looking front with the way the headlight is, but still a cool engine. And for any of you who are wondering, this is a Weaver engine. I don't know if I said that before, but this is a Weaver engine. So it's all brass. But still a cool little project that I'm working on, and hopefully that will be underway some more very soon once I get a couple parts in. So I grabbed the camera now, and we're over by my shelves on my wall here, and this is a Lionel Class A chassis. This is in from my great friend Stephen Koferl. He sent this to me originally for just some basic maintenance and to get it running a little better. But we've decided to do a full upgrade on it, and I have a thread going on the OGR forum about it, which is pretty cool, and it's going to be an amazing engine. I love the N&W, and to be working on a Class A is really cool, and I'll now show you the shell for it. So here's my little box of shells. This is a little table that has a box in it. It's in my room here. And I got a bunch of shells there. I got my brass 611, my triplex, and then here's 1218 shell. I currently have it off as I'm working on the chassis and all the electronics. It's such a cool looking locomotive. And then down here is a Southern 4501 Mikado. This is the one that I upgraded for RJ from RJ's Trains. He was having some issues, so I just told him, give it to me and I'll fix it for you. Some of the work I did wasn't the best, so I'm resolving that and making it a lot better, and I'll be giving that back to him soon. But that actually leads us into the train room. In there is the chassis for 4501 and the tender for the Class A. So over here on the spur of the layout, I have the chassis for RJ's 4501 Mikado. The tender, for the most part, is fine. It does need one new board installed into it. And I don't know if that was my fault or RJ's fault, so I just said, I'll give you a board. I have one lying around, so it's no big deal. So the tender's fine now. The engine, I had some wiring that was kind of run in a not optimal way. It didn't run very straight, so to speak. It ran through this little piece of metal that used to be mounted here. And I just didn't like that, so I'm redoing the wiring, and then I'm going to zip tie it together so it's just a nice straight spool of wire, and it'll be nice and organized. Up at the front here, this piece of brass wasn't mounted on here very well by me originally, so I used a different type of glue. I actually used epoxy instead of a glue to attach it on here. You'd think since it's brass I could solder it onto something, but this is a PCB on top that I can't just solder to. So I used a little bit of epoxy. It's nice and attached now, and I cleaned it up around the edges, and I painted a little square around it to cover up some scratch marks that I made, and it just looks a lot more presentable and better than it did before. I even redid the ground connection here since the old one was just not very good. I redid some of my shrink tubing. I even installed a new motor in it because I had a spare one lying around, and who knows, maybe that caused the old, board to go bad. So I just replaced things that I could and I had parts lying around for, since it couldn't hurt and it's not really costing me anything. So it's coming along, and I'm keeping RJ up to date on it. And when it's done, it'll be going back to him so that he can enjoy it on his layout, because it fits with his layout. The Long Island and Southern Railroad is what he calls it, and it's a really nice engine. I hope to one day take mine and do something very similar to this. But for now, let's move on to some of the other stuff I got in here. Looking up from the 4501 chassis, on this shelf we have the shell for a Weaver Santa Fe 3460 Blue Goose. This is being upgraded to TMCC with rail sounds, LED lighting, and fan-driven smoke. The chassis is actually out above my workbench. I forgot to show you that, and I'll show you that in a couple minutes when I go back out there. But yeah, it's coming along nicely, and overall, it's a really nice engine. So up next is this Right of Way Industries Great Northern N3 2880 locomotive. This is from the same person that had that Weaver P2 out on my workbench, and I've installed Legacy into this engine. It's a very cool engine. Sounds decent. I couldn't put the biggest speaker in it, but it still sounds really nice. It smokes well, and overall is a really cool looking engine. And I really like the LED headlight, marker lights, and number boards. It still needs a couple things. As you can see, it does not have a coal load on the tender. I need to install a coal load on it. I need to put a backup light in it, and then hook up a couple more wires inside the engine. But other than that, it's almost complete, and I'll probably do a video of it pulling some coal cars. If you've noticed recently, I've been pulling this coal train on my layout, and it has a bunch of Great Northern coal cars in it. Those are Right of Way Industries Great Northern coal cars that go behind this engine, and they are from that customer. And he's just been letting me run them on my layout. But this is coming along nicely as well, and I'm enjoying it. Kind of hard to work on since it's a brass engine, but still very neat, and hopefully it will be done soon. So here's the Class A tender. I set it here on the track because I have nowhere else to really put it right now. So far, just like the Class A, I've just stripped it down to no electronics. Um, but both on the engine and the tender, I've installed the lighting. So on the engine, I've installed the LED headlight and the LED cab lights. On the tender here, I've installed the LED backup light, and even installed a little LED in the doghouse here, which looks really cool. So it's coming along nicely, and now I'm just waiting on the electronics for the engine so I can upgrade it. So something I haven't mentioned in a while is this Lionel Tuscan K4. I did the one video on it talking about the legacy upgrade, and then nothing came about. So what's happened with this engine is the parts took a really long time to come in, and because of that, I decided to take the parts when I got them and just install them. Or for the most part, it still needs the smoke unit for the whistle steam installed, and some of the wires rearranged, and I think it also needs the switches under the cab for the program run, smoke and Odyssey hooked up. But other than that, it runs. All the lighting works, the sounds work, the main smoke works. So it's for the most part a working engine now. And I'll be doing two more videos on it. One about what I've done so far, and then one about whistle steam, and then showing off all the features that it has now. So I'm sorry if you've been really wanting videos on this engine, but I've just been dealing with other things. It took a while for the parts to come in, and only now am I getting to filming some videos on it. So stay tuned for those videos, and that's about everything I have in the train room. I believe I have one more thing to show you, so let's go check that out. So at the top of these shelves, you see a MTH Rock Island GP7. I got that in, and it's a PS2 5-volt engine, so it has the board that is known to go bad over time. And the board was bad, and the customer didn't want to spend the money to upgrade it since it's an older engine. So what we've decided to do is leave the smoke unit in it and just make it a dummy. So when you turn the track power on, the lighting will come on and the smoke will come on. So it's a fairly basic job to do. Just take out the old stuff, hook up the lighting to track power, and hook up the smoke unit to track power with some circuitry in there as well for the little DC motor for the fan. But for the most part, an easy job, and it's almost done now. So that's the last thing I have for you in this room. Now let me go show you the Santa Fe Blue Goose chassis. So here's the Blue Goose chassis. There's a lot of parts and stuff laying in these bags here. These are all parts for this engine. I'm waiting on a new soundboard for it, and once the soundboard is in, I can install all these parts, get the smoke unit mounted up, and get it going, and not be just a bare chassis with some electronics on it. But it's coming along nicely, as I said, and I really like this engine. I love the color of it, and it's just such a unique looking engine in general. So there we go. That's the update on my Backshop. That's actually what I call it. It's kind of a little joke, but I call it Sid's Backshop. And it's because I'm working on trains, and that's kind of what is done in a Backshop. So that's just a little bit of a joke kind of name for it. But yeah, that's my update on all the stuff that I'm working on. Uh, I hope you guys enjoyed. I kind of did it so you could see everything I'm working on, and maybe tell me what you want to see more of, or see less of, or if you want to see more tips and trick kind of videos, or me actually working on stuff. Just tell me that in the comments. And the same thing, if you want to see, maybe if you want to see, say, more on this Great Northern P2, just tell me that in the comments, and that will let me know that that's the engine you would like to see. So just put what you think in the comments, and that'll really help me out. But for now, that's all I got. So as always, like, subscribe, and click the bell for notifications. Comment below, and tell others about the channel. I'm Sid, and I'll see you next time, guys.